+1 English online class. Yesterday we completed the topic, that is quest for a theory of everything, that we completed. Today we are going to discuss its textual questions and activities. Let's start. Okay, first one. How did Hawking startle the audience? Okay, how he startled or how he performed well. He startled his audience by telling them that there was an end in sight for theoretical physics. He invited them to join him in a sensational escape through the time and space. Next one. Stephen Hawking did not appear to be a promising choice to lead any adventure. Why? That is the next one. He was sitting in a wheelchair while one of his students was reading his lecture to the audience. His appearance was not healthy and naturally he did not appear to be a promising choice to lead any adventure. So this way he appeared, and also promising some choice, lead any adventure. Okay, can a person be judged by appearance alone? Justify your answer. Okay, we all of you judged their appearance. He cannot do anything. So, can a person judged by any appearance alone? Justify your answer. That is response. A person cannot be judged by appearance alone. Many great men in history did not have a great appearance. Napoleon Bonaparte was a very short person. Franklin Roosevelt, one of the greatest American presidents, spent most of his working hours in a wheelchair, and he walked with like braces and canes, usually with help. Mother Teresa did not appear a robust person, but she was really great. Okay, that's all. Next one. What do you learn about Stephen Hawking's childhood? What do you learn? What do you understood from his childhood? Okay, that is, he was born on 8 January 1942 in Oxford, England. His parents were Frank and Isabel Hawking. They were not wealthy. Hawking attended the local St. Albans school. By the time he was 8, he was seriously thinking of becoming a scientist. His father wanted him to study medicine, but Stephen thought biology was too imprecise. He wanted a subject in which he could look for exact answers. He was just an ordinary schoolboy. He was slow in learning to read and his handwriting was horrible. At 14, Stephen knew he would study maths and physics, but his father discouraged him from studying maths because he thought it offered no jobs except as a teacher. Stephen's father wanted him to attend Oxford, where he had studied. Oxford had no mathematics, so Stephen studied chemistry and physics and only a little mathematics. At the age of 17, Hawking went to Oxford to study natural science and to specialize in physics. These are the ideas about Stephen Hawking's childhood. Okay, next one. Comment on Hawking's life at Oxford. For about 1 year and a half, Hawking was lonely and bored at Oxford. He also did not try hard at his academics, but halfway through the second year, he began to enjoy Oxford. Okay, that's all. What opinion did Hawking's peers at Oxford have about him? What is his peers, his friends at Oxford have about him? Hawking became popular and was well accepted among his peers. They remember him as lively, bent and adaptable. He wore his hair long. He was famous for his wit. He liked classical music and science fiction. He took part in sports too. Okay. Next one. Cite an example to prove that Stephen Hawking was sharp-witted. Did his wit help him in any way? Yes. Stephen Hawking had applied to do a PhD at Cambridge while he was a student at Oxford. He was accepted on a condition that he got a first from Oxford. Hawking thought he could get through successfully, but as the examination came, his confidence failed. Hawking got only borderline marks between a first and a second. As he had only a borderline result, his examiners called him for an interview and asked him about his plans. He told the examiners boldly that if I get a first, I shall go to Cambridge. If I receive a second, I will remain at Oxford. So I expect that you will give me a first. He got his first. He got his first and he went to Cambridge. His wit helped him there to get what he wanted. Next question. Stephen's first year at Cambridge was worse than that at Oxford. Why? Okay, why? His first year at Cambridge was worse than that at Oxford. His poor mathematical background troubled him. He found general relativity extremely tough. There was even bigger problem. During his third year, he had started getting a bit careless. He had fallen once or twice for no apparent reason. Soon he had trouble tying his shoes and sometimes had difficulty in talking. Okay, that is it. How did tragedy strike Hawking after his 21st birthday? How it struck. Shortly after his 21st birthday in 1963, tragedy struck him. He contracted a rare disease, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, for which there was no known cure. It caused a gradual disintegration of the nerve cells in the spinal cord and the brain. He went into a deep depression. He did not know what to do and what his future would be. That is it. What drastic change came over Hawking after the diagnosis of the disease? See, next one. The drastic change came over Hawking after the diagnosis of the disease. He had many dreams. He said that his dreams were at that time very confused. Before his condition was diagnosed, he was bored with life. But after he came out of hospital, he dreamed that he was going to be executed. He realized then that there were a lot of important things to do. If he was given a reprieve time to live for some more time, Hawking was getting some more time to live and life was precious. That is it. Next one, what was Jane's impression of Hawking? Just before Hawking entered the hospital for tests, he met Jane while at a New Year party at St. Albans. She thought Hawking was very intelligent, eccentric and rather arrogant. But he was interesting and she liked his wit. She fell in love with him. Okay, that's all. Okay, write a note on character of Jane. See, just write a note on character of Jane. Jane was a shy teenager with a strong faith in God. This faith was ingrained in her by her mother. She believed that good can come out of any adversity. When she met Hawking after his discharge from the hospital, he was in a sad state. She felt that she had lost his will to live and he was very confused. She was not put off by his physical or mental condition. Hawking liked her optimism and their friendship grew. They thought that together they could make something good. For Stephen, it made a big difference. He applied for a research fellowship at Caius, one of the colleges of Cambridge University, in 1965. When he was 23, he received his fellowship at Caius in July 1965 and he married Jane. They had 3 children. In fact, it was Jane who gave the moral support to Hawking to overcome his adversities and do something great for mankind. Okay, that is it. Next one. Is Stephen Hawking really a great mind on par with the likes of Einstein and Newton? Justify your answer. Answer is, it is not yet time to make a verdict on the work of Stephen Hawking. Newton and Einstein are giants who ruled the world science. It is true that Hawking has said some significant things about the universe. He has asked significant questions, but he has not provided adequate answers. Anybody can ask questions. Asking questions does not make persons genius. Hawking used to ask daring, unexpected, and penetrating questions during the sessions involving some of the most famous and distinguished scientists in the world. That is how he earned his name as a genius and as another Einstein. I don't think his mind is on par with the likes of Newton and Einstein. Time may prove me wrong, but for the moment I stick to my answer. That's all. Next one, list the interesting facts dealt with in Hawking's book. That is, where did universe come from? Is it infinite? Does it have any boundaries? Will it come to an end? If so, how? Is there a complete theory of universe and everything in it? Is there a beginning of time? Could time run back? The book begins by recounting the great theories of the cosmos from Newton to Einstein. His purpose in writing the book was to make science understandable to non-scientists. Okay, that's all. Next one. What could have been the misgivings of Jane? While on a trip to Switzerland, Hawking contracted pneumonia and was left on a life support system. The doctor treating him suggested a tracheotomy operation which would remove his windpipe. It might save his life, but he would never again be able to speak or make a vocal sound. Jane thought her husband might die with this operation. That is why she said the future looks very bleak. Hawking would no longer breathe through his mouth and nose, but through a permanent hole made in his throat. Okay, next one. How could he overcome his difficulties after the tracheotomy operation? Since Hawking could not speak, Walt Walters, a computer expert in California, sent him a program he had developed. It was called the equalizer. It would allow Hawking to select words from the screen, and this way he could continue to do his work, although very slowly. Okay, next one. Mention some of the unique ideas and paradoxes put forward by Stephen Hawking. They are, see, some of the unique ideas and paradoxes put forward by Stephen Hawking are: in science and with people, things are often not what they seem. Pieces that ought to fit together refuse to do so. Next, you will learn that beginnings may be endings. Cruel circumstances can lead to happiness, although fame and success may not. Two great scientific theories taken together seem to give us nonsense. Empty space is not empty. Black holes are not black. Okay, these are the things. Next one. What was Hawking's attitude to his disability? How do you estimate it in a wider social context? He chose to ignore his difficulty. He expected others to adopt the same attitude. In the modern days, we call disabled people as differently abled people. A physical disability does not have to make you desperate and a victim of sympathy. People with physical disabilities have achieved marvels. Franklin D. Roosevelt, one of the most famous American presidents, spent most of his working hours in a wheelchair and walked with leg braces and a cane supported by others. Now we have a blind playback singer, Bhagyalakshmi. There is also a blind music director named Afsal. Handicaps need not be looked upon as excuses to be lazy. With hard work, one can overcome his handicaps. Helen Keller, blind, deaf, and dumb, became world famous because of her determination to succeed, and she did. Next one, activities. Attempt assessment of the personality of Hawking in a short paragraph. So, personality of Hawking, that is, you have to write it in a short paragraph. See, there is a model. Hawking was a man of determination and perseverance when he was at Oxford. In his late teens, he was lively, buoyant, and adaptable. He wore his long hair. He wore his hair long. He was famous for his wit. He liked classical music and was interested in sports. When he was in the third year at Oxford, applied to do a PhD at Cambridge. He was accepted on condition that he got a first from Oxford. But during the examination, he had only borderline marks between a first and a second. The examiners summoned him and asked him about his plans. He told them bluntly, "If I get a first, I shall go to Cambridge. If I receive a second, I will remain at Oxford. So I expect that you will give me a first." They gave him a first and he went to Cambridge. This shows how frank and open he was. When he was 21, he contracted a rare disease which caused disintegration of the nerve cells of his spinal cord and brain. He walked around with a cane, supporting himself against a wall. His speech was impaired, but nothing stopped him from achieving what he wanted. It was his determination that attracted Jane Wilde, whom he married. He lost his voice after a tracheotomy operation, but he continued working with an equalizer, which helped him to choose words from a computer screen. He asked fundamental questions like where did the universe come from and whether it has boundaries. Is there a beginning of time? Could time run back? His book, A Brief History of Time, contains a lot of paradoxes that will surprise us. He is often called another Einstein. Second one, list the facts you have learned about Stephen Hawking in chronological order in the timeline given below. So, in the chronological order, we have to write, first one, A Brief History of Time is there. The next one, that is 2005. Next one, 1988, published A Brief Theory of Time. Then 1984, completing the draft of the book. Then 1980, inaugural lecture at Cockcraft Lecture Room. Then 1980, again, started writing a book about universe, received research fellowship at Chaos. 1965, same year, he married Jane Wilde. 1963, gets the rare disease, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Then 1959, goes to Oxford, for study. And 1950, decides to become a scientist. Then 1942, he was born. That is his birth. That's all. Then now look at the list you have made. What facts do the readers expect in a profile? This is it. You can see what are the things you have to include in a profile. First one is the date of birth is needed. Then parents and schooling, higher education, turning points in life, marriage, rare activities, achievements, things that make a person stand out, the message he or she gives. These are the things we have to include in our profile. Dear students, with this activities, wind up this session. The coming day we can continue the remaining activities. Keep watching.